Welcome in. It's a brand new episode, a brand new edition of the RSL Show. Alex Napoles, Josh Clark joining me today. Josh, how you doing, man?
Dude, I'm wonderful. How are you, Alex?
Doing good, man. We're right in the thick of it. Everything's happening all at the same time. Basketball just started up. Obviously, we got hockey, football, soccer, you name it. And so I'm just all over the place.
Yeah, you have the pleasure of covering all of those for KSL now. So I imagine this time of year sucks though, because that's a lot of sport.
It is. It is a lot of sport, but I'm definitely the type of person that kind of I love the chaos and I feel like I thrive in the chaos. And so I'm just out there doing as much as I can, doing everything that I can. And I love it, man. I enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to be better than having to cover like the bowling club in March or something, right? Like,
yeah, no, for sure. I mean, once it's like June, July, when there's nothing really going on, it does kind of hit a lull. But then obviously, I mean, Major League Soccer right in the thick of it in the summer. So, I mean, there's always something going on, which is awesome.
thick of it in the summer for now.
Yes. Hey.
Yeah, transition.
Let's jump into that, actually, because that's something I totally forgot about. Mm-hmm. Josh, how do you feel? So Major League Soccer, there are reports. One of them put out that Major League Soccer is reportedly looking into switching the MLS calendar to go to a fall-spring calendar like the European leagues, like every other league in the world, except maybe the South American leagues. But that's a possibility, something on the table for 2028.
I mean, some real pros, but some real cons, right?
Yeah.
I know it gets hot in the summer a lot of places, but yeah, Minnesota in January, man, or like, Toronto, Montreal, Vancouver, Salt Lake City, Kansas City, Portland to an extent, St. Louis, New England, New York.
Basically anything up here north of the...
Yeah, anything not California, Texas, Florida is going to be miserable.
Yeah, which is pretty much 75% of the league.
Yeah, so like I understand the pros of, lining up the international windows and this and that, but I don't see how it would do well for attendance for the league. I don't, right? I know it's cold in Europe, right? But it's a little different here in the US cold wise. You know what I mean? Like 50 and a little drizzly in England compared to what was the 2013 final, -13, something like that. Like
with
it's
ice on the field.
Yeah, it's miserable. And I just can't see people bringing families out to sit in the snow and cold wind for 90 minutes on a regular basis.
And then I look at NFL, but at the same time, I don't want to draw comparisons from MLS to NFL because obviously completely different levels. But people still show up in the winter for those leagues. Yeah,
but it's like 5-6 games total.
No.
You know what I mean? It's not a Wednesday night against San Jose.
You're telling me you don't want to go to America First Field in mid-December at a under 25-degree game against San Jose Earthquakes.
I don't. I honestly do not. Right? Snow games are fun once in a while, not every game.
LAFC would hate it.
Oh, they would have to just quit the league.
Steve Cherundolo would probably come out and complain every game about it being too cold, and that's why they lost.
Yeah, most likely. And like, I don't know. You can't have every, northernish North American team go away for January, July, or December, January, and February, right? Like, I don't know. It's weird to me. It'll be whatever if they do it, but it just seems like a bad idea.
Yeah, it does. I mean, the weather obviously plays a huge part in it, but I do think that in the grand global scheme of things, it could help with transfer windows. It could help with, because it is kind of weird getting like the big stars and the big name signings in July and them coming into the teams mid-season, right? Like Olivier Giroud had to finish the European season to come in and play for LAFC.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. I completely agree. But at the same time, are you convincing Hugo Lloris to come stand in the snow for 4 or 5 months? But are you convincing Messi to play in Toronto in January when it's below zero? You know what I mean? It just doesn't.
Right.
you're not going to attract players that way.
It's weird, and I'm very interested to see what comes out of it. If that's something MLS decides they want to move to.
If they do, they should start investing in some roofs, right? Doesn't have to be fully enclosed, but some kind of terraces over the stands, something to make it a little more comfortable for the fan.
And I'm sure there would be workarounds as far as scheduling goes. Like I'm sure Minnesota would probably get a nice little streak where they would have to play a couple games away in the warmer states and maybe avoid playing home games in like mid-January. But I don't know. I could see that being a possibility and something that they decide to do. But yes, interesting to see what happens if Major League Soccer decides to change their calendar.
It'd be very interesting. I'm more interested to see in attendance numbers and growth of the league when and if that happens. Just very curious.
So that was reported earlier this week. And for now, we move on, and we'll keep an eye on that, and obviously let you know if there's any developments in that. But that if it happens, that the earliest that it would be implemented is 2028, which also I'm curious to see how they would transition from one season to the next, because
very short off season.
Yeah, I don't know how they would do that. Again, just funny and interesting to see kind of what Major League Soccer decides to do, if that's the route they decide to take. Also, if it happens, I don't think it would last very long.
I don't think so either, unless they did like the winter break, but then there would just be so many games in rapid succession, before and after. I don't know if that would work either.
Yeah. And where does Leagues Cup end up in all this?
In the off season, I guess.
Yeah. In the middle of summer while everybody's off at the World Cup.
Yeah. I'm telling you, there's a lot of pros and a lot of cons.
Yeah. All right. That is one of the latest updates in Major League Soccer. Let's transition over to Real Salt Lake, because they played a game on decision day, and it was a good game. It was a fun game. They were able to beat the Vancouver Whitecaps 2-1, and Josh, will jump right into the starting 11. You got Zach McMath in goal, Javane Brown at the right back position, Justin Glad in the center back spot alongside Philip Quinton and Alex Catranes, Emeka Anelli, Brian Ojeda, the usual, with Diego Luna, Matt Crooks, Diego Gonçalves on the left wing, and Chicho Arango up top. Your thoughts on that starting 11?
Didn't mind it, obviously. Per usual, defense scares me. Philip Quinton in the lineup scares me. At center back, right back, he's earned some grace, right? But center back still worries me. I thought it was interesting to put Diogo on the left. I liked it. I wasn't against it, but I liked it. Get some firepower out there. But overall, a good lineup for decision day.
I wonder how much, and if Mastroeni continues to decide to go the route of having Diogo on the left. Obviously, Marchuk, who just coming back from playing international soccer with the U21 of Poland.
Yep.
So I wonder how much that factors into it. But a good lineup. I thought Diogo did well. And I thought this was a really strong lineup, considering, Brian Vera is suspended and Marchuk getting a little bit of rest.
Absolutely. It's about as best as we can put out at that point.
But disaster strikes in the 22nd minute as Philip Quinton had to be subbed off due to injury. In comes Nelson Palacio. Javane Brown scoots into the middle. Anelli pushes back to the right back position, and Nelson Palacio in the midfield alongside Ojeda. And why I say it's disaster is because we're already going into this playoff game without a Brian Vera who's suspended. We've been worried about center back depth all season long, and now Philip Quinton down with an injury. Still not 100% sure what his availability is going to be heading into that game on Tuesday, but something to keep an eye on. Center back depth for also like heading into the playoffs.
Yeah, another one bites the dust, right? It's wild. It feels like there's always one position group that just gets decimated every year. And this year it's our center backs, and my God, we're on what, 5th, 6th choice at this point?
Yeah,
luckily,
man.
Brown can play, right back and center back, so we have some coverage there, and that's why that was actually a really good move by the front office, but not ideal. And now you have Anelli potentially out of the midfield, right? Because he's a very good right back. He's better than our right backs, just going in and playing right back. So, maybe we see Anelli finish out the season at right back and Palacio get a lot more minutes. Luckily, we have that depth in that area, so that might ease the burden a little bit, but bad timing.
Terrible timing. Again, heading into playoffs, you don't have Brian Bear for that first game. Hidalgo's still sidelined with an injury as well, so it's not the best of situations for Real Salt Lake. However, a lot of people online interested and curious about Marcelo Silva not being introduced into this game, but I think it makes sense. This is a guy who hasn't played basically all season long, and he's still working at getting back to being 100%.
Yeah, I mean, he's not 100%, right? He's not match fit. He essentially played in preseason, and that was it. So, he's not sharp at all. And when you're really gunning for that third place spot, and even through the playoffs, you're going to go to him very last. It's going to take Glad or Javane Brown getting hurt. And even then, I wouldn't be shocked to see Palacio play center back before Marcelo Silva.
Yeah, absolutely. I think Marcelo at this point was on that bench and is probably going to be on that bench for playoffs as your last break glass in case of emergency player, just because he has not played all season long, and I don't necessarily think he is match fit just quite yet.
No, and it's almost not fair to him to throw him into a situation when he's not prepared for it, right? That leads to unnecessary red cards, unnecessary mistakes, poor giveaways because he's not used to the movements of the guys in front of him. So, yeah, definitely a break glass in the case of emergency center back at this point. And that's no knock on him. It's just the situation we're in.
Yes.
And he's in.
Yeah. So you head to the break tied at 0-0. A couple of good opportunities for us, in the first half. I believe there was a long distance shot from Ojeda. There was some good opportunities for us, but in the end, you go into the break 0-0 on decision day. Things are happening around the league. At this point, you're stuck facing Houston. Any concern, any worries heading 0-0 into the break for you, Josh?
Yeah, just because I don't want to play Houston. I want to walk down that number 3, be nice and comfortable at number 3, say we can finish. We finished at third place in the West. So, yeah, I'm sweating a little bit because RSL's not in the best of form, so you didn't know what was going to happen in 45 minutes of soccer.
I guess I probably should have mentioned this before too, but not only is third place on the line for Real Salt Lake, but a Champions Cup spot on the line for Real Salt Lake at this point. Again, avoiding Houston on the table at this point. So there's a lot to play for still in that second half. Real Salt Lake comes out maybe a little bit flat-footed. I want to say they came out a little bit flat-footed because they got caught. Vancouver doing a good job coming out of the gates, putting some pressure on that back line. And out of that, we get one of the most weirdest, atrocious penalty calls I think I've ever seen.
I cannot believe, I forget his name, the referee. How did he take a look at that and still decide that was a penalty?
That was Armando Villarreal.
Yeah, Mr. Armando. How do you look at that with human eyeballs and judge that there was actually a foul there? Clearly, VAR was like, hey, buddy, you goofed. And you just stuck to your guns, man. And, man, you look like a clown. I can't take you seriously now.
There was a very long and lengthy VAR check. And I think, I don't know, even we saw the replays. We saw all the angles. It just looked like
nothing.
It looked like he kicked Nelson and ended up going down. Like he's the one who kicked Nelson.
If he did, it's hard to even say he did. He should have gotten a yellow for simulation.
Yeah.
Luckily, Alex, the ball don't lie.
Just a terrible call. I'm surprised it stood even after VAR. But yes, ball don't lie because Fafa Picoult skies it.
Deservedly so.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping Pro would come out and be like, hey, sorry. But of course they won't because there's no.
Even when Pro gets it wrong, they won't say anything.
Yeah, drives me nuts.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, Fafa, bro. Sent that one to the moon, and nothing made me happier.
Fafa Picoult sending it into about the is it lettered rows? Row Z for Met America First Field.
You know who wouldn't have missed that penalty?
Who wouldn't have missed that penalty?
Damir Kreilach.
I thought you were going to say Denny Musovski.
He would miss that penalty. No. I was going with the other half of that joke, but crazy to not see Damir play at all.
Yeah, I know.
What a shame.
I don't know why. Even if he like subbed on in the 89th, man, that would have been so cool.
Let him get the ovation.
He deserves it.
Right. Maybe he would have been motivated and scored for you.
Just poor. I think that was poor not to let Damir Kreilach into this one.
Yeah, let him have a moment. I'm really, really curious what Vancouver promised and or paid Damir to leave here, because he's not getting a lot of time.
I want to know what the opposite. I want to know what where Rouse didn't want to meet him.
From hearsay, I want to say it was in the 800 range is what he wanted. I could be way off, right? This is just vague memory, but it was a lot for a guy that wasn't going to see the field.
Which is it's unfortunate. Definitely would have liked to send him off instead of just kind of seeing him leave the back door.
Right, but that's also what makes me curious. Like, what did Vancouver promise him? Because he's not playing more than he would have played here, right? So it wasn't playing time that was the issue, unless Vancouver lied to him.
Which is also curious because there's still a few players on this on the roster, on Rouse Lake's roster, who are still counting towards the salary cap and still obviously part of Rouse Lake's roster who are no longer here, like Rubio Rubin. So I'm curious if Rubio Rubin's off the books, if Damir Kreilach had the possibility of staying.
Probably, right? Because then we would have had some cap room, but like, why are we still paying Rubin? My God. I forgot about him.
A lot of people forget about Rubin.
He's just on loan, isn't he?
He is, yeah. He's on loan in Mexico.
How long? Do you remember how long he's like under contract with RSL?
I believe this is his last year.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure after this year he's off the books.
Just couldn't even get a transfer for him, huh?
No.
It's been 2.5 years.
Which sucks because right when, he came in, he had a couple of good games, got the contract extension. Yeah, got the bicycle, the contract extension. And from what I've heard is there was offers from Mexican clubs who wanted to come for Rubin, and RSL, I guess, just couldn't capitalize on it.
If I remember right, though, that was still when League was controlling the ownership, right?
I believe that was before Blitzer and Smith.
So that makes a little bit more sense, right? You can't really move him yet because you don't know if you're going to be able to replace him.
Yeah.
But damn, it would have been nice to get him off the books. I'm honestly, I don't know what like the cancellation of loan fee is in this deal, but there was a stretch in the summer that maybe he could have come back.
Yeah. There was, especially during that suspension, right? We needed a little bit of help.
Yeah.
But heading back to the Vancouver game.
Yeah, that was quite the derail. I'm sorry.
No, it's all good. It's all good. We'll talk Damir. People love the Damir talk. I love Damir talk.
Absolutely.
I miss him. Damir didn't sub into this game. However, you know who did sub into this game?
Who?
Ryan Gault.
Of course.
Coming back from injury. And
he's quite the player, Alex.
He is. He is the Scottish Messi.
He deserves better than Vancouver.
I think he just needs to stay healthy.
I mean that too, but he deserves to be on a better squad than Vancouver.
Well, I think Vancouver would have been better this season if Ryan Gault was healthy. Ryan Gault is their piece. He is their Chicho. He is the guy who basically he's the DP. He is the star for Vancouver. But when he's more injury prone than he is on the field, and you don't really have the necessary depth to replace that from Ryan Gault, that's why we see Vancouver. That's what I think, why we see Vancouver the way that it is.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. Like Vancouver has a lot of the same issues RSL has when it comes to depth and like true talent behind your true talent. There's talent behind the true talent, but not replaceable. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but you get what I'm saying.
I get you.
So yeah, it sucks for them, but yeah, he's quite the player.
Literally within seconds of subbing in, Ryan Gold comes into the game and decides to score a goal for Vancouver.
It was a pretty goal too.
It was a good goal. It was a nice goal. However, I got to gripe with the defending, man.
Of course.
I got to gripe with the defending. You cannot leave Ryan Gold all by himself at the top of the 18 like that. You just can't.
With 5 yards of space, 360 degrees around him. Yeah.
Because that's what he does. That's what he's going to get the ball and he's going to put it in.
Yep. Much like Chicho, right? Same reason you can't leave Chicho alone in the box.
Exactly.
It's no different.
Exactly. So, again, credit to Vancouver for just coming out into this second half against Real Salt Lake, putting the pressure on the defense and getting the goal. However, Dominic Marchuk checks in a little bit after going down 1-0. Anderson Julio in for Matt Crooks. And I thought Real Salt Lake, I think those substitutions really helped Real Salt Lake because they seemed from a team who was defending the pressure to putting the pressure. And they were getting forward and they were creating. Good on Pablo for the changes. And that eventually leads to Diego Luna with a moment of brilliance.
Speaking of quite the player, right? Diego Luna, my guy, is quite the player.
He is.
He could have had 2-3 goals in this game, handful of assists. And he just makes it happen. The kid's footwork is ridiculous. You watch these opportunities and he's taking a shot while actively dribbling the ball like it's one solid motion and you just don't know what he's going to do. I cannot imagine defending someone with footwork like Diego Luna.
I want to give a lot of credit to Ojeda for obviously the assist and for picking off that pass. You're behind your own midfield. And you're able to ping that ball across the field, get it behind the Vancouver defense, and Luna just does a phenomenal job to bring it down, cuts it to his right, and ends up in the back of the net. Beautiful goal for Real Salt Lake. Beautiful goal for Luna. And Real Salt Lake back on level terms, 1-1 after the Diego Luna goal.
Yeah, it was a great response. And yes, that diagonal ball across the field from Ojeda is something we've been missing this year with, obviously the Ruiz injury. So it was good to see that aspect come back to RSL a little bit because we're very dangerous when we can stretch the field like that.
Yes. Big miss. Ruiz, those are Ruiz's passes, man. And good to see Ojeda get it off. I think Nelson does a really good job at those as well. However, when Nelson does it, it's more to a defender rather than to a forward getting in behind the defense. So I would like to see him get it forward a little bit more when he does those passes.
Yeah, he's got it in him. We've seen glimpses.
Yeah.
He just doesn't. I feel like he never has the space. His opportunities are odd. I don't know if it's the way he sets himself up, but yeah, a little more of that from Palacio would be beautiful.
Real Salt Lake tied up 1-1, again, thanks to that Diego Luna goal. And then just chaos, not only in this game, man, but across the league. Just chaos happening in these final moments of the Western Confernce games. It starts with Alex Catranis crossing one into the box, and then I still don't know how it went in. But apparently it takes a bounce off of the Vancouver goalkeeper and ends up in the back of the net. And I was like celebrating.
Kind of off his shoulder region.
Yeah.
That my first thought when, this goal went in is, it's about time that happens to someone else. You know what I mean?
When did it happen to RSL?
No, just goalkeeping errors, right?
Oh, okay.
In general.
Gotcha.
Not that exact play, but just the goalkeeper causing us to be down, right? To get scored.
Gotcha.
Yeah. Errors.
It is nice to get a bounce going our way finally.
Exactly.
And in the moment you need it most, man. At this point, again, what's at stake, what's on the line? Gotta get the 3 points. And in the 82nd minute, we get an own goal.
And props to Catranis. What a left back. He's been involved with so many goals this year. It's so nice. It's so refreshing. I'm so high on Catranis. And I wish that goal was credited to him, right? Because he did put the ball in the dangerous area, which is what we need to do more often, right? When you put the ball in a dangerous area, good things tend to happen. So we got a glimpse of it then, and it couldn't have come at a better time.
Could not. 82nd minute again, as I was saying, Rouse Lake take the 2-1 lead. At this point, just everything happening around the league, but specifically a penalty is awarded in stoppage time to the LA Galaxy. Gabriel Peck steps up, puts it in. Galaxy lead. Galaxy at the top of the West. Rouse Lake facing Houston.
We're all sad.
And I texted it. I said, man, looks like we're going to get Houston. Because the late penalty, like it was a late penalty. And I thought that was it. I thought that was all she wrote. But then Daniel Steres, the former Galaxy man, puts one into the back of the net for the Houston Dynamo to not only take away the Galaxy's first place spot, to give all the cheer in the world to LAFC for taking first place in the West, but of course, putting Houston above Minnesota to allow Rouse Lake to face the Loons, and we avoid Houston.
Thank you, Daniel Steres.
Thank you so much, Daniel Steres.
You know, anyone we play in the playoffs, it's going to be a tough matchup, right? But it's going to be very nice not playing Houston.
Yes.
Because they genuinely have our number.
They do. They do. And I was actually having a conversation with Juan from Dynamo TV about kind of what happened in those final moments, and he was excited. He wanted to play Real Salt Lake.
Yeah, why wouldn't he?
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like
the Houston fan base wanted Real Salt Lake, and I'm glad we couldn't give that to them.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't really want anyone, right? Because everyone's scary to me right now. But I definitely did not want Houston or Colorado yet.
Yes. Basically, thanks to that 2-1 win for Real Salt Lake, and thanks to everything else that happened around the league, Real Salt Lake again set up with a third seed to take on number 6 Minnesota. And I think, Josh, even better, I think Real Salt Lake, because of that third seed, ends up on the easier side of the bracket in the playoffs.
Quote unquote easier. Sure.
And here's why I say easier. On Real Salt Lake's side of the bracket, you have the Galaxy taking on the Rapids, and then obviously Real Salt Lake taking on Minnesota. On the other side of the bracket, you have LAFC taking on Vancouver. Vancouver qualifying thanks to that 5-0 win over the Portland Timbers. We'll get into that. But you have Seattle, Houston on that side as well. Seattle is Seattle. They always make a run. They always figure it out.
Yeah, but Seattle's a team that we can beat in the playoffs. We've beaten Seattle
historically, yes. Historically, yes. But I think it works out really well in Real Salt Lake's favor that you avoid the LAFCs, you avoid the Seattle, and you avoid the Houston.
Until a potential Western Confernce final, sure.
Yes.
Yeah, no, I don't disagree with you at all. We don't have an easy test ahead, right? But we have an easier test ahead because we can maybe beat Minnesota, right? We like to tie them. We can definitely beat LA Galaxy. I think we can. We haven't played them with Rose yet, but the Galaxy haven't been a real thorn in our side. I think we're quite evenly matched. So yeah, I'm much more comfortable playing them than I am an LAFC or Houston.
I would love, and I'm sure you can agree with me, I would love an opportunity to rematch Colorado in the second round.
Oh, man, yes, but no. I know we talked about this in the last episode. Beating them in the playoffs would be absolutely incredible. But losing to them in the playoffs would be emotionally devastating, and it would take me weeks to recover, if not years. Especially if they were to advance to the final, win the final or something, then that would just be I would vomit.
That would be the icing on the cake for you.
Yeah.
Let's take a look at some of the results that happened around the league again to set up Real Salt Lake in the number 3 seed. Montreal with a 2-0 win over New York City FC. Chicago losing to Nashville 3-0. Charlotte beating DC United 3-0. Inter Miami 6-2 over New England. Messi off the bench scores a hat trick. No big deal.
That money made me a lot of money in Vegas, by the way.
Then what did you put money on a hat trick?
No, but I put money on New England having a lead, scoring more than 1 goal, and then Miami scoring more than, I think, 4.
Oh, nice.
I also made money on RSL. I put money on Vancouver scoring first and then RSL winning.
Dude, you got it right.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Columbus with a 3-2 win over the New York Red Bulls. Atlanta United with a 2-1 win over Orlando. Cincinnati with a 2-1 win over Philadelphia. Can I just say, man, what a disappointing season for Philadelphia.
Yeah, it's all RSL's fault.
Yeah. They were not the same after they lost to Real Salt Lake.
I'll take it. I'll take the credit.
Austin winning 3-2 over the Colorado Rapids. Huge result for Real Salt Lake.
Yep.
FC Dallas beating Sporting Kansas City 2-1. Who cares? They're both out of the playoffs. Houston with that 2-1 win over the LA Galaxy. Huge result for Real Salt Lake. LAFC with a 3-1 win over the San Jose Earthquakes. Minnesota with a 4-1 win over St. Louis City. Real Salt Lake with a 2-1 win over the Vancouver Whitecaps. And, of course, the Portland Timbers drawing with the Seattle Sounders 1-1.
What a snooze of a Cascadia Cup, man.
Yeah. I don't know why. I just haven't been impressed with Cascadia this season.
I mean, Seattle's old and busted, and Portland's just not impressive. They have talent. They can score goals, but they're just not impressive.
They suck defensively.
Terrible.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yep.
Until they play RSL. Anyway.
So now we get into the midweek play-in games. Montreal beating Atlanta United 2-2 in penalties. What a game. I don't know if you caught that, Josh, but that was a fun one. Considering that Atlanta was up 2-2, some way, somehow, Montreal got back into the game thanks to Joseph Martinez, former Atlanta United man, scoring two goals to tie things up, and then Montreal falling in the penalty shootout. Atlanta advances. And then the one that I think we're all surprised by, maybe? Is surprise the right word?
Yeah. No, 100% is. 100% is.
Vancouver just absolutely dismantling the Portland Timbers 5-0, not at home. Vancouver was the home side in this one, but it was played at Providence Park because of scheduling things with their stadium.
A monster truck rally, wasn't it?
I think so. I think it was like a demolition derby. They couldn't play their game at home because of a demolition derby, so they had to play a home game at Providence Park. So this was a home game for Portland.
Obviously.
And they got trounced 5-0.
Destroyed. And, sometimes there's a random 5-0 match, and it's like, yeah, but like the other team had chances. No, this was just abuse.
This was domination by Vancouver.
Could be reported as violence in some places. It was almost comical.
Yeah.
And it's having like lingering effects on Portland. Now Evander's super unsettled and, went on that tweet rampage, and it's just, that was bad for Portland.
Not good when your star player and your star DP is going on Twitter after a 5-0 loss and saying that the leaders of the club aren't good enough for the fans.
I mean, that's not the first time that's been brought up in Portland. So
yes.
So maybe there's something to it.
Oh, there absolutely is.
There definitely is, but it's the noise is getting a little louder.
Which, I mean, after everything that happened, I'm shocked that there hasn't been more change at Portland. But
right? Didn't Merritt Poulsen only sell the Thorns?
Yes,
he's still an owner of the Timbers, right?
Yes, he's still with the Timbers.
He's been a lot quieter.
Yeah,
but yeah, something's wrong in Portland.
We'll leave it at that.
Yep.
5-0 win for Vancouver. So Vancouver moves on. They will now face LAFC in a best of 3. Atlanta taking on Inter Miami in a best of 3. That first game was played tonight, by the way, and Inter Miami winning 2-1 over Atlanta.
Unfortunate.
How unfair is it that Atlanta had to play on Tuesday and they have to hurry up and turn around and play on Friday?
Considering we're playing on Tuesday, it's kind of wild.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's what you get for being the wild card seed, but it's not great.
I've always had a gripe with the playoff scheduling, especially because that weird international window just right smack down in the middle of it.
Mm-hmm.
But MLS, fix your playoff scheduling for everybody,
please. Why a Tuesday?
Yeah, I don't understand that.
You play Wednesdays normally. Just stick with Wednesdays.
I get wanting to spread out the games and having one game going on at a time, so that way people can watch all the games. I get that.
Yes,
I like that. But you can get more games over the weekend. You don't have to have just one game on Saturday.
Yeah, play one midday, play a 2:00 and a 7:00.
Yeah.
You're only competing with college football, NBA, NHL, right? Just have all the games on the same day. It's not going to help your numbers. No. I'm sorry.
No. But yes, Real Salt Lake will be taking on the Minnesota United Loons on Tuesday at American First Field. That game set for a 6:50 kickoff. Also, weird time to kick off a playoff game, but I digress. And look, this is a Minnesota team that Real Salt Lake has yet to beat this season.
But we have not lost to them.
Yeah.
So we are genuinely equals at the moment. Real quick, though, how sick would it be if Demir eliminated LAFC for us with Vancouver?
That'd be so cool. A la Karate Kid style.
Yeah. Imagine. Just putting that out into the universe.
Best case scenario. 100%.
Anyway, Minnesota.
I want to take you back, Josh, in the way back machine to April 6th, where Real Salt Lake goes on the road to take on the Minnesota Whitecaps.
Dude, it's clearly 11:00 at night. It's been a long day. It's okay, Alex. I forgive you.
Chicho Arango scores in the 24th minute. Oluwesi scores in the 87th. Even with Minnesota getting a red card in that one, Real Salt Lake walk away with a point in Minnesota. And then it come back to America First Field just a few weeks ago. Doesn't feel like that was too long ago. October 2nd. And you draw 0-0.
We get a red card this time.
And Brian Bear suspended for 3 games.
Yeah. So we truly are equal, right? Yeah. 2 draws, 2 reds. That's weird.
That is weird.
Yeah, it's going to be an interesting matchup. It's a dangerous matchup, right? Minnesota can beat us, but we can easily beat Minnesota, which is, also nice. But I have a feeling one of these games is going to go to PKs. I think we're going to go 3 games, and I think one of them will for sure go to PKs.
So you think we're going all 3?
I think we will.
Okay.
I think we'll get the home win. They'll get the home win, and then it's going to come back here.
Interesting.
But I think the game in Minnesota is going to go to PKs.
I think I really like Real Salt Lake's chances in this one.
Oh, me too. But I know RSL, and we could easily let this one slip.
See, but I feel like Real Salt Lake always shows up for the playoffs.
I mean,
even last year.
I mean, they pushed Houston, but
yes.
Houston was more beatable in my opinion. Actually, no, I take that back. Houston was quite good last year. And they had Corey Baird, the greatest striker of all time. So I take that back. Minnesota is actually more beatable than Houston was last year. And we do show up for the playoffs, mostly. So sure, yeah, I agree with you.
I think RSL takes the win at home. I'm right there with you on that one. I do agree that the game at Minnesota has a really big chance of going to penalties. But I think if it goes to penalties, and I think Real Salt Lake squeak away with a penalty win in Minnesota to end this at 2 games.
I would be more than happy with that.
That's my prediction. Lock it in. It's happening.
And we don't have Rubio Rabin or Danny Musowski stepping up to the penalty spot.
Yeah.
Good omens this time.
Exactly. I think right now, even though obviously Real Salt Lake came in limping into the playoffs, I do think that this team does a really good job of turning it on as soon as the regular season is over. And I think even right now with Chicho in a little bit of a slump, not being able to break the record, which sad, I think guys like Diego Luna can step up. I think guys like Marchuk are going to step up. Matt Crooks has been playing really, really well. I do think Rouse Lake will still find some good things in the attack, even if Chicho can't find the score sheet. I obviously am hoping and really, really want Chicho to get back in the score sheet, but I do like Rouse Lake's chances against this Minnesota defense, even though we just played them to a 0-0 draw.
Yeah, I mean, with Chicho, that's going to be key for these playoffs, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Luckily, it's more likely that Chicho is going to score than he's going to continue this slump, right? Chicho is going to bag a goal, and that's all it's going to take to get him rolling again.
Exactly. He just needs one.
Right, and he's had the opportunities. It's not like we're not getting him opportunities. It's going to come. And I hope it's on Tuesday.
He scored in this last one.
Right, it just was disallowed, right?
Offside.
So
yeah.
So I believe he scored.
Yeah, there was another game where he scored
in the Minnesota game,
probably,
and it was offside if I remember correctly. So
yeah,
it's there. It's going to come, right? This drought is not going to last forever. This is by far not the end of Chicho, right? So he's going to break that slump. If he breaks that slump in this series, RSL are suddenly 10 times more dangerous, especially if Luna, Crooks, Marchuk, Gonçalves, honestly, he's been looking a lot better, right? If these guys stay on and Chicho starts scoring, RSL will advance.
Yeah, that's one of the things I feel like we haven't really touched on too much, and is the fact that I feel like Diogo's slowly coming around. He has looked a lot better. He looks more involved in the attack, and we're just going to continue to see that grow more and more as Diogo continues to get comfortable in this league.
Yeah, essentially, he's gotten through his preseason now. He's gotten the games, in his belt with this squad, and we're going to see him really, really start to pick it up, I think. Which could be great for Chicho as well.
Yes. You have Diogo creating for you. There's no way you don't score. Taking a look, man, at the Western side of the bracket, I want to throw out some predictions here real quick and see what we're thinking, see what's going on in the playoffs. We'll start with LAFC Vancouver. How much of a chance does Vancouver have against LAFC? Realistic.
They have Dami. So Vancouver will advance.
Is that a lock?
In my dreams. LAFC is most likely going to advance, and I'd say 2.
Olivier Giroud, I think, has not been good for LAFC.
No, he's still Giroud.
But he's still Giroud, and even then, I think Kai Kamara is, even if you don't start Giroud, even if Giroud can't get it going, you got Kai Kamara at 40 years old still banging goals in.
Yeah, you can still rely on him to come in and do a job.
Exactly. I would really, really like Vancouver to advance. I think it would be super cool. I think it would be awesome, but I just don't think they have the depth to keep up with LAFC.
Yeah, I mean, they're one Ryan Gold muscle tweak away from being obsolete. You know what I mean?
There you go.
But they have Demir.
They do have Demir, who needs to play more.
Yes.
Vanni Sartini, play more. We're locking in LAFC. Moving on against Vancouver. Seattle, Houston.
I'm going to get weird. I think Seattle beats them.
I don't know which way to go in this one.
I think Seattle beats them. I think they'll go 3, but I think they'll squeak this one out.
This one, I can see it going either way, because Houston's going to Houston, man.
Absolutely, but Houston is also still, when they're not playing RSL, they don't look that great.
They beat LAFC twice this year.
Okay, so they're good against LAFC and RSL, but in other games they haven't looked great. They're very beatable.
It's weird because, we've talked about this with Rouse Lake before, with Rouse Lake playing up to their opponent, right, and being there for the big games, but not being able to get past the opponents you're supposed to beat.
Yeah, the San Jose's, yeah.
And I think Houston is incredibly similar to that, where they're punching above their weight against the Galaxies and the LAFCs, but they're not necessarily the best against other teams. And I think in this case, Seattle is a team that they need to punch up to get to.
Mm-hmm.
And so I do think Houston will be very good and might surprise some people in this in this matchup against Seattle.
Yeah, but I think Seattle can also surprise some people, right? Because Seattle's also not a great team, but they are getting healthy, and they're getting healthy at the right time, like they always do. So don't discount Seattle, man.
Seattle's not a team you can ever count out.
Nope.
Never, never, never. I counted them out earlier in the year. Now look at them, 4th seed.
And we did the same thing last year and the same thing the year before. So
Yep. So I guess we're split on this one. You're going Seattle. I'm going Houston.
Yep.
Perfect. We'll locking it in. Rouse Lake, Minnesota. Give me Rouse Lake all day, any day.
Yep.
And then Galaxy, Colorado.
I think Galaxy's going to handle them just fine. It could still go to 3, but I mean, Mihalovic is out, right? Colorado's in a slump. I think LA's got this.
Again, I would really like Colorado to advance because I would absolutely love that Rocky Mountain Cup rematch in the playoffs. But I do think Mihalovic is too important of a piece to this Colorado side to not have available. They're trying to get him back for game 2 from what I've heard. But we'll see if that happens, if he can get healthy. And even then, who knows if he's 100%. Mihalovic is just too important to Colorado. Give me the Galaxy.
100%.
LAFC. So you're going to LAFC Seattle.
Yep. And then I think LAFC takes that one.
Okay. No argument. Just straight LAFC.
Yep.
Okay. Rouse Lake Galaxy.
We'll beat the Galaxy.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
I think, and hear me out, I think MLS is trying their best to have El Tráfico in the Western Confernce final.
Sure, but...
And we're going to get screwed.
It's very, very possible. That's why we need to score goals.
Yes.
And make it so they can't throw the game.
I love Real Lake. I'm always going to cheer for Real Lake, but I think the Galaxy moves on.
You're crazy.
Yep.
They are the better side, but I think we handle them. Listen to me be positive about RSL in the playoffs. Ooh, I take that back. LA. I don't want to jinx it.
So you're going LAFC Rouse Lake in the Western Conference final?
No, I'm going El Tráfico.
Okay.
I don't want to jinx it.
So those are our locks. Those are our picks for the Western Conference final. You heard it here first. Lock it in. We'll come back. We'll revisit this and see how much we get right, Josh.
Yeah. And then when it is RSL and LFC, I'll be like, remember when I said it would be? So just keep that in mind too. But yeah, I do foresee a Miami LAFC final though.
Yes, I was just about to ask who's going to win MLS Cup and why is it Lionel Messi?
Because it's Don Garber. Like there's just no way around it, right? Messi is going to win MLS Cup. It's just the script is written.
Yes. Before we move on real quick and before we get out of here, big shout out to Diego Luna, Young Player of the Year finalist.
Deservedly so.
I voted for him. It sounds a lot of people that I've talked to around the league sounds like they're going for Luna. So really hoping and really pushing for Diego Luna to win Young Player of the Year award because that would be phenomenal.
Yeah, it'd be really cool to get another RSL player a year-end league-wide award. Award.
Yes.
Last one was Corey Baird.
Oh, yeah. Rookie of the Year.
Yeah. But that also ruined his career, so...
I don't think that would happen to Luna.
No, I think we're fine.
Yeah, I don't think that would happen to Luna. But yes, hopefully Diego Luna can pull it off. Hopefully enough people voted for Diego to get some silverware and get the Young Player of the Year award because that would be really awesome. Not only for him, not only for
transfer value.
Not only for the transfer value, but I think it'd be awesome for the fan base, and I think it would be awesome for RSL.
Yeah, and it would be great to show, that USL to RSL pathway is genuine and legit, right?
Yeah, I mean it already is.
It already is, but having a player make that jump and then win Player of the Year, like Young Player, that's just another solidifying stone, right? That is a good method to use.
Absolutely. Josh, I think that's going to wrap it up, man. Anything else you want to add, say, get out there, put it into the universe before we wrap this one out?
Let's all just do whatever we got to do to put the mojo and juju out there for Chicho to get on the score sheet. If that happens, we're sitting pretty, man.
100% agree.
We got to get through one more game without Vera, and then center backs will be fine. Chicho on the score sheet. RSL's in good shape.
Yes. Oh, wait. Before we get out of here, totally forgot about this. RSL Lake into the Champions Cup. First time since 2016? 17?
Sounds right. Sounds 16. Right.
Last time they played, got absolutely demolished by Tigres. I do remember that. And again, beating out, because of the way things shaped out, beating out beating out Seattle in the standings, them and Cincinnati qualify. So Champions Cup soccer is coming back to Salt Lake City.
Yeah, very excited about that. 2011 still haunts me, will the rest of my life. But yeah, excited to be in that competition, besides Champions Cup or whatever those new ones are. This is the one I like. So
yes,
Champions League is what I'm going to call it, because that's what it is to me. So.
All right, with that, we'll leave you. That'll be the end of the RSL show. Thank you guys, as always, for listening, for subscribing, for following, for doing what you have to do to follow the RSL show on the KSL Sports Network for the best RSL content